Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of this Greytech Advanced Steel Lunch and Learn Week. Today we're going to be looking at drawings. As with every other day, could someone please just confirm that you can hear me okay and that you can see my screen okay? We'll wait till 12:30, but we'll crack on. Thank you, Anas. So we will just wait for bang on 12:30 and then we'll get cracking, because I do run 4 or 5 minutes over today. As I think I've said, every other day we could probably do, we could definitely do more than an hour on each topic, but we are trying to keep it short and snappy. So today we are going to be looking at drawings, and let's just crack on and start. Something that has come up twice in one day on technical support a couple of weeks ago. So we were asked, how do we check to see what drawings or what items have a drawing or what items don't have a drawing? Lots of people before Advanced Steel 2020 would simply have in their defaults, they would have duplicate drawings in here turned off. So the system, my system at the moment, says allow duplicate workshop drawings. I would turn that off, load those settings back into Advanced Steel, and then if I go and run my processes, any item that already has a drawing, it wouldn't run. Now on a model like this, that's fine. On a bigger model where you've got it split into lots and phases, you might not want to run the drawings for certain things yet because you're still modeling. So there's a couple of tools that we can use. With Advanced Steel 2021, there was a new addition in the search filters. So if I go to the search filters, we looked at search filters in our template file. And in objects, I want to say search for steel beam, compound welded beam, folded plate, plate, grating, tapered beam, anything that we could run a drawing of. In the behavior tab, there is a tick box now that says has single part drawing. So if I run that, that first tick box actually is searching for that. If you want to, it's the third tick box we want to look for. If we want to search for things that actually do have a single part drawing, you tick the third box, and you'll see that these items have gone red, because if I right click on here, I've got show part detail and show assembly detail. So I know a drawing exists for those parts. If you want to search for items that don't have a drawing, you actually untick that box there. Now it is something we could save. So I could say no part drawing. If I go to my Project Explorer, I've got no part drawing there. If I select this, we can see, what did I do there? Doesn't have a single part drawing. That one there, I don't have show part detail. Not sure why that one did, but that can be saved in my search. So we could do the same. I could go back to my search filter and I could do the assembly drawings, and I could say no assembly drawing. So those items don't have an assembly drawing. So we could do a search filter for that. We could use the duplicate drawings, or if you have the Power Pack installed, there is a check main part drawings or check single part drawings. That is the same as the search. This was added to the 2020 Power Pack, and then Autodesk have added similar functionality to the standard advanced deal. So it just means that you guys don't have to use the duplicate drawings all the time. It works for smaller models, but it doesn't work on bigger projects. So moving on, we're going to, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some holes in this beam here. I'll just put this, doesn't really matter, and we'll put them at 100 centers. And we will create a 3D view, so I'll set my UCS to view. We'll put a camera in, we'll just put that camera down here. And we will do 3D all no labels. Lost my graphics there. And I will select that, and I will go and my processes, and I will run my selected camera. We'll just run it as that for now. Now, just another tip and trick while we're looking at bits and pieces. If I want to open up a part detail or a GA drawing, I can select the item, right click, and in our right click menu we've got show part detail, show assembly detail, or show camera detail. So for that column there, there's a part drawing, there's an assembly drawing. Because I've just run that 3D camera, I could open up the GA. So I could select the camera as well, right click, and use show camera detail. And that will open up the drawing directly. So you can see in here, I don't have my holes showing. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. There is a management setting. So if I bring up my management defaults again, and I use the filter for holes, under drawing presentation, there is general, and it says holes in arrangement drawings. So I need to enable that, and I need to reload the defaults, and then we can rerun the camera view. Now this still might not work, and that's what I want to move on to next, is to show you why certain things are showing and why they're not showing. So I can obviously run that a couple of times, and then I've got two drawings. I've got a feeling they're not going to show. So again, they're not showing it here. But you'll also notice that my bolts aren't showing. And we do get this quite a lot. Why aren't certain things showing on certain drawings? That is related to the style that we use. The way I you can see in here, the style is a 3D view, all no labels. Why I sort of explain styles to people on the Essentials course that we run is if you imagine there's a filing cabinet with folders in it. Each folder has a different set of rules. So there is a folder or a style for 3D view all, no labels. Now, how do we know what's in that style? Well, if I open the drawing style palette from my ribbon, I can go to 3D, and here I've got 3D view all, no labels. And with all of the palettes, you actually get a little flyout here. Now the flyout will give you a description of what it's showing here. So it's a 3D view based on the Z-axis, all items showing except cladding. So if you had cladding in the model, it wouldn't show using this style. It's not doing labels. Bolts and holes are not shown. So although I've changed the management setting, the style is still driving that. So I actually need to use a style that will show bolts and holes. So there's one here, 3D detail view all. although it says it's intended for close-ups, you'll notice that it says bolts and holes are shown. You'll see all of these, apart from one of them, it says bolts and holes are not shown. So if and we can use that for everything. So if you're looking at a plan view, for example, floor plan cold rolled all, it will tell you what it's going to do, including the cold roll parts. Cold rolled objects are labelled and dimensioned, but the hot rolled one only shows the hot rolled parts. So you could run two different views showing different things. So in that folder, the drawing style, there are rules that say show this, don't show that, show this, don't show that. So I will choose that one there. We will run another drawing. And now, because this style enables holes to be shown, it will go and check the management tool, because the style says, yes, I'm allowed to show holes. The management tool says show holes on GA drawings, and then the system will put the holes in for me. But that is why on certain views, when we run them, we don't have bolts and things like that, and claddings and bits and pieces like that shown. It's all down to the styles. So use the palette to see what the description is going to do. So if we open this third drawing, okay, there's lots of labels in there, because as the style said, it's intended for small areas, but you can see now those holes are shown. If I turn off that management setting and I reload the settings, the system says, right, we'll run holes, but if the management setting says don't show holes, then it will turn them off. So if I update this view, you can see it updating down here in the bottom left of the screen. Those holes should disappear now in a second when it's updated itself. But you can see this style is showing the bolts. And there is now updated because I've just told it to turn off the bolts in the management settings. I'm going to do select similar on the labels, because that will pick up all the labels. The only thing to be careful with here is that it picks up the title view as well. So just deselect that and I can delete the labels. Now, we do sometimes get asked this, when we're printing, how can we get certain things to print in different colors and different line weights and thicknesses and things like that? So there's a couple of parts to the system that I want to show you. In my prototype, or in my paper space here, I can right click and I can go Page Setup Manager. I'm going to click Modify. That's going to bring up my printing options, and we have our Advanced Steel CTB file. So the CTB file is your plot colors and line thicknesses. And if I open this, there is obviously every color in the system here, and each color has a property, so what color that's actually going to print to and what its line weight is. And out of the box you'll see that most of these are set to black, and then the line weights will change. So I know, for example, that color 143 is the color of everything in this drawing, so that's why that's set to 0.35. Now, what we can do, if you want beams to actually print to a particular color and you want that to be a particular thickness, if we go back to our management settings, we can look at drawing presentation and colors. And for GA drawings, if we scroll down in here, we can say use color by a layer in arrangement drawings. So if I enable that, and you can see here all the different colors that we can set in here. So your clip line color is red. That's why it would plot to red the color of objects I changed the other day to 84. That's why they were green. What I've done now is I've told the system to use the colors in here. So I've said whatever colors you find in my model, so my beams layer is on 150. If I run another drawing, we'll just let this one run. This will now use every color that the system finds in the model. It eventually runs my drawing. We're already over time. We'll try and keep it to 20 minutes. As with every day this week, I could probably do an hour on each one. That will now run everything with a color from the model. So let's just get rid of these again. Select similar. I don't want it to delete the title. So you can see now that's using the colors from the model. So what I can do is I know that was 150, so I can go back to my page setup manager and I can find 150 now, and I could set that to actually print to 150 if we wanted it to, and I can set my line weight in here to say maybe 3.5. If I actually go and print this, now those colors, that I can get GA colors to come through, that CTB file would be used on every single drawing. Yeah, let's just put that there for now. But when this plots, this will plot with everything else as black. But those as the blue color. So that's how we can do that. Last bit I'm going to show you today is a new feature for 2022. So I'm going to copy this camera here, this 3D view camera. We're always asked, I want to show maybe just a 3D view of just the columns and the rafters and the tie beams for the main frame. How do we do that? Well, in previous versions of Advanced Steel, you would have to do it manually, using a style and choosing the items. We can now, if I double click this camera, I'm in Advanced Steel 2022. I've got a new tab in here that says Select Objects for Camera. So the default for a camera is to use everything inside the model, but we do have an option here to say Select Objects for Camera Detailing. Now, if you want the beams and plates and everything to show as well, my advice would be to use the Clear Marking and Display Objects Connected in Shop. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll set our UCS back to world. We will just do that. Go to a wireframe. Because what I can do is I can say select all the rafters, select all the columns, right click. That's marked everything. Oh, missed the tie beams. That's fine. We can add the tie beams to the marking, not a problem. Tie beams in here. Okay, so that has marked everything. I would then add the camera to the marking and then select everything and isolate it, and that will do that for me. I can then go into the camera, go select objects for camera, click the select objects for camera detailing, select the objects, and because I've got them on the screen, I can do that rather than having to go around and do all of that. Tells me how many objects there are. If I clear the marking and turn everything on, you can double check it by going back to the camera and say mark objects. The system will then mark everything that's in there. If I run this camera now, the last one I'll do today, let's change the style to just 3D view all, no labels. Drawing processes, camera selected A1. See, that's run a lot quicker because it's not showing everything and it's not labeling everything. That has now run just a 3D view, but more importantly, with a camera. So we're not having to manually go and select everything. And that, and we're 5 minutes over, that's all we've got time to look at today. Okay, so let me make sure there haven't been any questions. I'm sure we could do days and days of questions on drawings and things. As with the previous 2 days, it's day 3 of day 5. I'll put all the links, they're in the handout. I will put the links in the chat window. These are just short, sharp tips and tricks. Some of them have been covered in previous webinars, so you can watch the full webinars on our content portals. Let me just put the links in the chat. But I will keep the session running for a few minutes if anyone does have any questions on what they've seen today. If not, hopefully I will see you tomorrow for our 15-minute tips and tricks session where we're going to be looking at bills of materials. We usually get asked what happens, can you view the recording once it's finished? We do need to wait till the whole week is finished, and then we're going to merge all the videos together and they will go onto the content portal and possibly our YouTube page as well. But they'll definitely be available in the content portal once the week has finished. So I can't see any questions coming in from today's session, so we will call it a day there. Thank you very much for attending. And hopefully I will see you all tomorrow and Friday. Mirror's Law, in 2020, is there a default to keep dimension lines in place? Dimension lines, if you're actually positioning the dimensions, it is something that in the later versions of Advanced Steel, from about 2019, they have been improving the way the drawings work on an update and keeping the positions in place. When you're actually dimensioning, it does depend on what snaps you're using. So if you're using an endpoint snap, for example, and the system, it's all about being able to track that point back to the model. If the system can't track it back to the model, it will remove it as an update. In terms of the placing of your dimension lines, they are a lot more stable, 21, well, it should be 2020, 21, and 22, but it is something that Autodesk are constantly looking at improving. Adrian, I've just seen your question come in. I didn't add it to a group. For now, I just did the selection. You could add it to a group to use at a later date. We are hoping that in the next release, Autodesk will improve the functionality of the cameras. If my system's going to open a camera, to be able to actually select queries or groups in here. But once you do have them done, you can say mark objects and it will mark them from within the camera. So you can do it that way rather than creating a group in there. And I can't see anything else come in, so I'm going to end the session there. Thank you very much for joining me. Like I said, we've got 2 more days. So tomorrow is going to be bills of materials, and then Friday is going to be management settings. So hopefully you can join me then.